first thing is sharing the screen for you to see all the contents again that you've got in your virtual class. Maxim, aquí está. As you see in this unit, apart from the components, we've got to see the main disease and the healthy habits. We are seeing all these units using presentation, but I told you that you could study. That's very important. You can study this unit if it's easier for you. You could study using your book if you find it easier. Keeping in mind then that there are extra things, like for example, when we talk about teeth, the number of teeth, the dental formula, the function of each one, that you've got almost anything in your book, and it's important. And the other important thing is some illness that we are going to mention, and you don't have them in your book. Okay, that's not the presentation that I want to share with you. Is the one in the digestive system. These are the activities that we've done. You're going to, I must apologize because I'm not sure which activities I've already corrected with you and which of them I haven't. So I need your help, either using the microphone or writing down in the chat. I would like you to tell me whether this first activity that I didn't ask you to do, have we corrected already? Do you know the answer of this question?
Haven't read number 1 and 2.
We haven't corrected number 1 and 2. Okay, so I want you to do to have at the end of the unit all the activities done. So if any of them we haven't corrected, are not corrected, I would like you to tell me, because it's better for you to know that you've got the right answer. The first activity is almost a part of the review that we are doing this week. So if any of you, for example, Maxim, that I know is here because he has just arrived. Maxim, do you have microphone in your device, or at least way to, yes, you do have a microphone. Could you
Yes,
give
teacher.
Could you give me a definition for digestion? What would be your definition for digestion? Because we are talking about this digestive system, but if you had to give me one definition, what would you say that digestion is?
Is the process in which the food we eat transforms and cuts and makes simple nutrients to be absorbed.
Perfect. That's the perfect definition of digestion. You've got this definition here. Digestion refers to the breakdown of food. So we cut food, we break it down into smaller components that would be the nutrients that can be absorbed into the bloodstream. So everybody must have this definition in the worksheet that you've got, or in your notebook if you prefer to do it in your notebook. Either this definition, the one that Maxim gave, anything saying that food is transformed into something that is more simple and will be absorbed into the bloodstream, or will pass to blood. Okay, well, now we've got another activity in which the only thing you've got to do is circle the right answer. So this activity number 2, We can do it directly, one by one, here in class. The first one answering my question is going to be Alejandra. Alejandra, what's the name of the tube that connects the mouth to the stomach? Mouth and stomach are connected by A, esophagus, B, small intestine, C, large intestine, D, rectum, the esophagus. So the only thing you've got to do in this activity is circle this one, the esophagus. Okay, this 20 centimeters tube that is the esophagus. Second question, which part of the digestive system is more or less 20 feet long? Well, in order for you to be able to answer the question, I tell you that 1 foot equals 30 centimeters. So it's more or less saying that which part of the digestive system is about 6.5 meters long. Question goes for Alicia. Alicia, which of these 4 parts is 6.5 meters long? Is it the esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, or large intestine? What do you think? If you don't have a microphone, don't worry, you can write it down in the chat. Which part of the digestive system is more or less 6.5 meters, Alicia? Which part of the digestive system, this one, is more or less 6.5 meters long? 6.5. Is it the esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, or large intestine? The small intestine, yes, you're right, the small intestine. So in this question, you've got to circle the third option. Next question goes to Alonso. Alonso, which part of the digestive system can either stretch or get bigger? Well, this is a tricky question because almost all of them can stretch and get bigger. These are the peristaltic movements, and we've got peristaltic movements all along the digestive tract, but it's referring to one that really gets big and really gets small. Which of them gets very big or very small, depending on whether it wants to store food or send out food? Alonso, which one? You can either turn
the small intestine.
The small intestine gets small or big doing this peristaltic movement, but there's one organ that could be this size but could really get bigger and bigger if needed. What is the organ that really increases the size in order to store more food? It's not the small intestine, is
The stomach.
the stomach. Okay, the right answer is the stomach. When you are filling the stomach with a lot of food, this stomach gets bigger and bigger thanks to the muscles that it has. Muscles help different organs get bigger or smaller. So the stomach is this organ that can change the size. When is it going to stretch? When is it going to squeeze? When it wants to send this food that has already finished the digestion in the stomach to the small intestine. What's the name of this liquid that goes out of the stomach? Alonso, remember the name of the liquid that goes out of the stomach?
The chyme.
The chyme. Okay, perfect. Well, next one is which part of the digestive system uses acid to break down the food? This question goes for Ángela. Ángela Cañas. Ángela, what is the part of the digestive system that uses acid to break down food?
The esophagus?
No, because in the esophagus we don't have any chemical digestion. The esophagus.
Stomach.
The stomach, okay? The esophagus is just a tube that connects the pharynx with the with the stomach. And the important thing in the esophagus is these peristaltic movements. Once food arrives into the stomach, is going to undergo a chemical digestion and mechanical digestion. The acids in the stomach help doing the two types of digestion because they dissolve food, transform it into liquid that is changing the physical state, so mechanical digestion. But this acid also activates the enzyme that works in the stomach. I've done this question millions of times, but Ángela Cañas, again, what is the name of the... Yes, that's right. What is the name of the enzyme that acts in the stomach, Ángela?
I don't know.
But you've got page number 40. That is a very important page in your book. And if you go to page number 40, you've got the acid in the stomach in that rectangle, that chart that you've got on the bottom of page number 40. You've got the acids, and by the word acid, you've got another term. Can you say it? Do you have the book with you?
Chim or
Pepsin, okay? Pepsin.
Ah, okay.
Pepsin is the name of the enzyme that works in the stomach. In order to activate this chemical digestion in the stomach, we need an acid environment. So the acids are going to dissolve food, transform it into liquid, and they are going to activate pepsin. They are also useful because they kill dangerous bacteria. So that's important as well. 3 important missions of this acid. Alicia was asking whether the pharynx connects the mouth to the esophagus. That's right. The pharynx is these parts, okay, the throat, lo que llamamos la garganta, is part of the respiratory system. If you breathe using your mouth, you're going to notice that air passes through the pharynx. If you do it using your nose, you can also notice it. So air ends up in the pharynx. And in the pharynx, we've got like a connection with 2 tubes. The respiratory system, that would be the larynx, and the digestive system, the esophagus. But preventing food from getting into the respiratory system, we've got the epiglottis. So yes, pharynx connects the mouth with the esophagus. Nutrients, next question. Nutrients in the small intestine get into the bloodstream by one of those processes, one of these 4 terms. This question goes for Ángela Barraga, the other one. Ángela, what is the verb that explains how nutrients go from the small intestine into bloodstream? Absolution, abstraction, abrasion, absorption. Ángela says absorption. Okay, so that's right. Letter D would be the right answer. And the last one, which is for Cristina, is the solid waste that is left over after all food is processed is stored where? At the end of the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, or large intestine. Everything has already been processed. Where is the remainings? Where are the remainings of this food going to be stored? Cristina? In the large intestine, which is letter D, number 4. Okay, perfect. Well, the next question is question number 3. That is just a diagram showing the paths of showing the path that food is following through the digestive system. I don't want you to make a picture because it would be a little bit more complex. The only thing I want you to do is something similar to this. I hope that you are able to see it. what I've got here, the diagram that I have here, is just the mouth as the organ through which food gets into your body. Then from the mouth, food goes to the pharynx. In the pharynx, the epiglottis is going to prevent food from entering the respiratory system, so food would go to the esophagus. You can skip this stage then. You can say that from the pharynx, food goes to the esophagus, okay? Then next arrow would show that from the esophagus, food gets into the stomach. Remember, in the stomach, we've got two sphincters, two circular muscles, one that controls the passage of food inside the stomach, the other one that controls the passage of food outside the stomach. Does anyone remember the name of any of these two sphincters, either the first one or the last one? Sphincters in the digestive system. If you go to page number 38 in your book, in page number 38 in your book, you've got the picture of the stomach, of the digestive system. On the left, you've got the stomach, and it says there that there are two valves, okay? These two valves are, someone is raising their hand. No, these two valves, page number 38, are, Eva, the pylorus and the cardia. Okay, the cardia is the first one, the one at the beginning of the stomach. The pylorus or the pyloric sphincter, that's the last one. Then from the stomach, I don't have food bolus anymore. Remember, food bolus is formed in the mouth, goes to the pharynx, then the esophagus, arrives in the stomach. But in the stomach, as Alonso said, is transformed into chyme. This chyme will go to the small intestine. Then what are these three names here? They are the three parts that the small intestine is divided into. Duodenum, just 20 centimeters, and then we've got 6 meters for the jejunum and the ileum. In the duodenum, the digestive system will receive the bile and the pancreatic juices, apart from the chyme and the intestinal juices themselves that will be produced here. I'll do this absorption, the end of chemical digestion and absorption here. And then once everything is absorbed, the chyle will go to the large intestine. The large intestine is also divided into three parts. The names are the cecum, the colon, and the rectum. Cecum is the first part, the one containing, what's the name of the structure that we've got in the cecum, this famous structure that we've got at the beginning of the cecum? Anyone that opens the microphone?
The appendix.
The appendix, this one, okay? So this would be the cecum. Then we've got the colon, that is these three parts, and the last part, that is the rectum. So this diagram there that you must have in your notebook right now will include the large intestine with the cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, the last curve, that is the sigmoid colon, then rectum, and at the end, the anus. That is activity number 3, another one that you must have in your photocopy. The rest of the activities, number 4, that is number 5, remember there's a mistake there. Si lo cambio ahora mismo, igual, si sé yo hacerlo. Igual así ya están bien todas. Activity number 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. All that we've already corrected, and we left it in activity number 14, was it? Lo dejamos en la 14. Was it your homework, activity number 14, or a little bit farther?
I have until 18 corrected.
Until up to 18 is everything is corrected. Okay, so I've already corrected this one. That is a very important one. That's very important. 18 and 17. So the first one we've got to correct is activity number 18. Have we done activity number 18? 18 as well?
Yes.
18 as well. So
And I have corrected too.
18 as well. And then 19, esta también, porque esta es que era la que antes teníais como 18, así que a lo mejor la tenéis también.
Esa la hicimos aquí en clase, creo.
Vale.
Aquí
So,
hicimos hasta la
es,
21, creo, y a partir de ahí nos mandaste más.
Eso. Y la 20 no, la 20. ¿Esta no la hicimos? ¿Esta sí?
Sí, ¿eh?
Three organs. Sí, vale, mira, pues mucho mejor, así vamos más avanzados. Y 21 dices que también. Ah, y la 22 la saltamos, porque esta os dije que era muy difícil y no quería que la hicierais solos. Then 23. Vamos con esa. ¿Os parece?
Sí, sí.
Venga.
Yes.
The inside of the small intestine is folded and contains many tiny... Dime.
Que Sofía se ha tenido que ir al médico, ¿vale?
Bueno, pues ya verá el vídeo luego, que luego os lo pongo y os ve a todos acertando las preguntas. No problem. The inside of the small intestine is folded and contains many tiny projections. What is the reason for this structure? Very easy question, very simple question. We're going to start from the bottom, and this one is going to go to Sophia. Sophia, why does the inside of the small intestine, why is it folded and contains many tiny projections? She doesn't have a microphone, but you don't know, that's your answer. That was an easy question. You cannot answer that you don't know. It's asking you about the small intestine and the folds and these structures in the small intestine. What is the mission of those structures? Well, we've got here. What is the mission of the structure? What is in fact the mission of the small intestine, Sophia? What is the mission of the small intestine? Why is the small intestine so important? What happens there? You still don't know? A verb that Angela, I think it was Angela, see, a verb that Angela used a few minutes ago. The small intestine is going to do the absorption of nutrients. And we said that we need a big surface of absorption. If you only have a tiny tube, a very thin tube, even though the tube is 6.5 meters long, imagine that you've got a lot of water that has, no me sale el verbo exacto, but has spread all around your one room. And the only thing that you've got is a piece of fabric, un trozo de tela, that is 6 meters long, but is very thin. Is it easy to absorb all water with a tiny surface? We want to have more surface of absorption because we want to absorb everything. It would be bigger if the piece would be 6 meters long, but a little bit wider. So 6 meters long, but several meters thick as well, or several meters wide as well. Then how do we get this if we only have a tiny tube to put inside our belly? We don't have a lot of space in our belly to get this surface of absorption. So the structure that your body is going to use in order to solve that is 3 different structures. The first one, folds, that move up and down. So as we said, there is no smooth surface, but having it folded, we can put in the same space more surface of absorption. But we don't do it only in a visible way. We also have structures that, in a microscopic way, increase the surface of absorption. We're going to use villi, that are structures that we see only using magnifying glass. Inside this villi, what I'm going to have is this lymphatic vessels, the lacteals, that will receive the fats, and also capillaries receiving the rest of the nutrients. So monosaccharides and amino acids will go to the capillaries, while fatty acids will get in this yellow structure. At the end of this yellow tube, it is connected to a blood vessel. So at the end, everything will be in blood. Okay? We've got these 3 structures. Then what would be the answer for this one? The inside of the small intestine is folded and contains many projections. What is the reason for these structures, Sophia? We would say that folds, which is this one, folds, visible folds, increase the surface of absorption 3 times. Villi increase it 10 times. Microvilli 20 times. So multiplying then 3, the surface of absorption of nutrients is 600 times the initial surface. That means that we're going to have at the end a surface of absorption that is almost 200 square meters. So there's more surface of absorption inside my belly than surface of floor in my house. My house is smaller than 200 square meters, and I guess almost all of yours, because 200 square meters is quite a big house. So the surface of absorption in your intestine is bigger than that, thanks to all these folds, those structures. Okay? Well, that would be the answer. Next one is going to go to Sadia. Sadia, do you have a microphone, or can you write in the chat? The next one is more or less the same. Why do you think that the small intestine is very long? Sadia, any idea? I'm giving you a clue at the bottom of the screen. De Sadia no tengo nada. Bueno, in order to have more surface of absorption. It's another one. Did I ask you to do number 25 as well? Yes, I did. Creo que sí. Number 25 is not referred to the small intestine, but is referred to the liver. Ruben, do you have microphone on your device? Can you activate your microphone? Seems you can't, but you can answer this question. What does the liver make that helps digestion? The liver is a very important organ. It's one of the biggest organs in your body. And it has many different functions. It's going to be important for toxins, to eliminate toxins, but...
Sara,
Dime.
¿vas a subir esto luego al aula virtual?
Sí, el vídeo, sí. Las soluciones as soon as we finish. Okay, as soon as we finish correcting all of them, I will launch the file with all the answers, with all the answer key. But the video will be in the virtual class. Bueno, espero. Ya sabéis que esto todo depende de que luego la tecnología funcione como debe. Pero se supone que sí. Los otros los habéis visto, los de los otros días, ¿verdad? O por lo menos habéis visto que están. No hace falta que veáis el vídeo si habéis estado en clase. Bueno, Te hemos dado tiempo. Rubén. No, ¿qué quiere decir? You don't know what is the mission of the liver? Bueno, pues voy con una pregunta más fácil. Rubén, if the question was, is the liver part of the digestive system? Is it part of the digestive system? Is it included in the digestive system? So if you go to page number 38 and you see the organs in the digestive system, would you find the liver? ¿Está por ahí? Is it in page number 38? No, the mission of the liver is not going to do that. Vamos allá. Go, Rubén, do you have your book with you? Page number 38. Yes. Okay. So go to page number 38 and try to identify in this picture the liver. Do you know how the liver looks like? If you don't see it in page number 38, you may want to see page number 39. Can you see the liver in page number 39? What color is it? What color is it in page number 39? Well, red, brown. Okay, perfect. Well, then my question is, do you see the difference between the organs that are colored in page number 38 and those that are painted in colors in page number 39? What's the difference between those represented in page number 38 and those represented in page number 39? You may find the answer in green in those pages. In page number 38, we've got represented those organs that form part of the, no, Rubén se me ha rendido. Those in page number 38 form part of the digestive, no. All of them form part of the digestive system. Those on the left and those on the right belong to section 1. See, veis? Section 1 is digestive system. But there is a difference between those in page number 38 and those in page number 39. Those in page number 38 belong to, ¿qué pone arriba justo? Digestive tract. Thank you very much, Rubén. A ver si nos centramos ahora. So, digestive tract and those in page number 39 are what we call accessory glands. What's the difference between digestive tract and accessory glands? Food is going to go through every organ in the digestive tract. The mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach, small intestine and large intestine is what we've got represented in page number 38, because food in any of its forms is going to go through them, in the form of bolus through the mouth, pharynx and esophagus, in the form of chyme in the stomach, in the form of chyle in the small intestine, in the form of feces in the large intestine. Then what happens with the other three, the accessory glands? The accessory glands are salivary glands, pancreas, and liver, because they have an important mission in the digestive system, but food will not go through them. So going back to the question, does food go through the liver? No. You said here, decías aquí, the mission of the liver is to absorb and process food. You cannot absorb anything if it doesn't go next to you. So no, the liver is not going to absorb anything. Then if it doesn't absorb anything, what is this organ, the liver, going to do? It's going to produce a substance. What is the name of this substance, Rubén? Any idea on the name of the substance that the liver is going to produce? If you stay in page number 39, you've got bile. Perfect. This bile is produced constantly in the liver and is stored here in the gallbladder and will only be sent to this duodenum when the chyme from the stomach goes into the duodenum. Then it will activate this gallbladder that will send the bile. So what does the liver make that helps digestion? It makes bile. And the following question obviously is, what is the mission of this bile? This bile does not contain any enzyme. So it's not going to do chemical digestion. Chemical digestion is undergone thanks to enzymes. So bile that doesn't contain enzymes is not going to do chemical digestion. It's only going to emulsify fats. Emulsify is turning big droplets into tiny droplets of fats. That is changing the physical appearance. So that is not chemical digestion, but is mechanical digestion. Okay, so what is the mission? What does the liver make that helps digestion? It makes bile that emulsify fats, doing a type of mechanical digestion, not chemical digestion. Okay, well, that would be all the activities. Those are all the activities that you had to do for homework. ¿Verdad que sí? Que estoy un poco perdida. ¿Me ayudáis con esto? Y es un sí, ¿verdad? That's it. Exacto. Bueno. So, large intestine. We saw all the parts of the large intestine. 3 parts. Second, colon and rectum. In order to see that, we go to, that would be included all this process in page number 41, the process, but the parts are in page number 38 again. So first one, the second. What do you need to know about the second? That it contains the appendix. The appendix was thought to be unuseful for many years. So anytime one a doctor had the suspicion that whenever they thought that they could be an infection in the appendix, that is known as, what's the name of the infection of the appendix? Appendicitis. Perfect. Okay, so if we've got an infection, if we had an infection in the appendix, or the doctor thought that it might be possible that we had it, they just remove it because they thought it was not so useful. Nowadays, we know that it has an important function in the immune system. Doctors do not remove it unless the infection is dangerous. If the infection is dangerous, they just remove it and you can survive without it. Okay. This cecum is short in animals that are mainly carnivore, as we are, but in herbivore animals, this cecum, as you can see in this picture, is very, very long, because this cecum contains the bacteria that produce enzymes that are able to break down cellulose. Cellulose is a type of polysaccharide. It's included in fiber. Fiber, la fibra, it's very important in our diet because it helps these peristaltic movements. But we don't get any energy or any monosaccharide from this cellulose because we cannot break it down. It's a polysaccharide that herbivore animals can break down into disaccharides first and monosaccharides later, but we cannot cut it. We cannot transform it into disaccharides because we don't have bacteria living in our cecum that undergoes this process of breaking down bacteria that produce the enzymes and are helping them to break down the cellulose. So what happens if your food contains cellulose? That it does. Any plant, any vegetable and food that you take contains cellulose. What is going to happen with this cellulose? That is going to form part of your feces. You will send it out of your digestive system through feces. It's not the same in herbivore animals that will transform it into monosaccharides and will absorb it later. Okay, so second is not very important in humans, but in the digestive sense, but it contains this important structure that is the appendix. Then we've got the column with these 4 regions: ascending, transversal, descending, and sigmoid, this last curve. This column is going to have an important function because it's going to absorb a little bit farther. Vaya, no lo veo aquí, pero está en algún sitio. It's going to absorb water and, a ver que os mareo. It's going to absorb water and minerals, and also some vitamins is what we've got here. Water, salts, and vitamins will be absorbed, removed from feces and absorbed to bloodstream here. That's why when food passes very quickly through your large intestine, when these feces spend very short time in the large intestine, you've got very quick peristaltic movements, maybe just because you're nervous. You've got very quick peristaltic movements, and then you're going to have diarrhea. Why do you have this diarrhea? Because these feces move so quickly through the column that you don't have time to absorb water, salt, and minerals. That's what we said, that is very important, that when you suffer this diarrhea, you restore water and salts. Otherwise, you may get dehydrated, and that could be dangerous for you. So it's important to restore it. And at the end, we've got the rectum that finishes in the anus with a voluntary sphincter that will either retain feces or let them send it out. That is the voluntary sphincter that we've got at the end. So that is all about the digestive system. You've got these 2 pictures representing as well how simple molecules pass to the capillaries or to the lymphatic vessels in the case
Sara,
of... Dime.
El esfínter, el apéndice es un esfínter.
No, the appendix... the appendix here is just this long structure, so it's a kind of a tube. A sphincter is a circular muscle that either closes or opens.
Okay.
You could think that we've got an sphincter here. It's a valve, not a sphincter, pero en esto os podríais equivocar aquí. We could consider that there's one here, because anytime we've got the passage of one organ into another one is usually closed by an sphincter. So we've got an sphincter at the beginning of the stomach, another one at the end of the stomach. We've got another one at the end of the large intestine. Normalmente ahí es donde los tenemos, ¿vale? We've got another one at the end of the urethra, for example, to send urine out. Bueno, what do we have to see now? We've got to see some diseases that are going to affect my digestive system. You've got disease and healthy habits in your book in page number 42. Common disease that we've got. First one is tooth decay, and I will try to explain the difference between tooth decay, que quiere decir, in Spanish would be, se te pican los dientes, ¿vale? Tooth decay, unos dientes picados would be caused by bacteria that are living in your mouth. These bacteria that live in your mouth, what they do is they eat the remainings of food that you've got in your teeth. And they do their metabolism, their chemical reactions. As a result of those chemical reactions, they produce acids. So their acids is more or less like the urine of these bacteria, because it's the remainings of their metabolic action. They produce acids. These acids dissolve the enamel. Anyone has the idea for the Spanish? What's the Spanish for enamel? It was a part of the tooth. Enamel, the outer part is el esmalte. Okay, perfect. So this acid is going to dissolve the enamel, so it's going to remove the protection of your teeth. Then those acids could get deeper and deeper. When they arrive in the pulp, if the acids arrive to your nerves or put the nerve in contact directly to the environment in your mouth, then it's going to start being very harmful. The holes are the cavities. Los agujeros son cavities, cavidades. That would be the scientific term for caries. Okay, the common name for caries. In Spanish, we say directly caries, and it's not a scientific term. But in English, if you say caries to one of your friends, they will look at you in a strange way, because they usually say cavities. Sería su forma de decir, me ha salido una caries, I've got a cavity. Okay, but the doctor would say caries. So tooth decay, se te pican los dientes, cavity and caries is our caries. So that would be one illness affecting your mouth. Your mouth could be affected by many other illnesses, but we are not going to study everyone this year. For example, a very common one is gingivitis. Does anyone know what gingivitis, la gingivitis is? Has anyone ever suffered gingivitis? If it ends up with itis, that must be one infection. Gingivitis is an infection in your gums, en las encías, ¿vale? That could be another one. But we've got another example here that is esophagitis. You don't have it in your book, but it's not so, you don't need to know everything that you've got in the presentation, so do not panic. What could be my question? My question could be either just naming 4 different examples of illness affecting the digestive system, or in case I ask you this one, I could do it because it's an itis, so an infection that is causing an inflammation, and it's in the esophagus, so it's a very common term. I could ask you esophagitis. I'm not going to ask you gingivitis, because gingi is not the same as gum, ¿vale? Si fuera gamitis, I would do it, but I could do it with esophagitis, an infection that causes an inflammation in the esophagus. If the inflammation is not in the esophagus, but is in the stomach, what is the term? You've got it in your book. What is the name for an infection in the stomach? In the stomach, we produce gastric juices, so the infection of the stomach would be
gastroenteritis.
Gastritis if it's only the stomach, or gastroenteritis when it's affecting the stomach and the beginning of the intestine. Okay, that's the difference between gastritis. Seguro que habéis oído, tiene gastritis, tiene gastroenteritis. It's not the same. If it's only the stomach, that is gastritis. If it's the stomach and a little bit more, gastroenteritis. Okay, they are usually caused by bacteria, the toxins of different bacteria, so the treatment would be an antibiotic. But sometimes you don't really need any treatment, because if it lasts just 1 or 2 days, it's better to just try to control the amount of water that's very important, and the amount of salts that you ingest. Because this gastritis could probably either cause you vomit more or cause you diarrhea. So that would be the illness that would need to, a ver cómo quito yo este de aquí, bueno, así solo, that would need to be treated. You've got another one in the book that is appendicitis. We've also mentioned that is again inflammation due to an infection in one part, the appendix. And the last one you've got is hepatitis. Which part of your body is infected when you suffer hepatitis? It's going to be your liver, okay? Everything related with hepato, that is liver that is affected. So hepatitis is the liver, the one that is infected. More illness that could affect you apart from infections that led into inflammations that are esophagitis, gastritis, appendicitis, and hepatitis. More things that could happen to you. We've got a very common one that is the peptic ulcers. We've got peptic ulcers here. The problem when you've got an ulcer is that you've got a hole. An ulcer is just a hole. If you've got a hole in your skin, in your hand, it's going to hurt. But it's going to hurt even more if this hole must be in contact to an acid. That's what happens with ulcers in the stomach, that you've got a hole in the mucous layer that protects the inner part of the stomach, and this is going to be in contact to the acids in the stomach, so it hurts a lot. You need to take medicines that give you a internal protection of the stomach, okay, protectors that are going to give you an internal layer in the stomach, and you also need to find out what is the reason for this hole. It could be sometimes they are caused by medicines that you are taking and they are damaging you. So with the protector, the mucous membrane will be restored. Sometimes it's because you've got a bacteria there that is damaging you, so you've got to kill the bacteria. What is the treatment that we use to kill bacteria? Always? Antibiotics. Okay, so you take an antibiotic and then you kill this bacteria. The last thing that you've got in your book is constipation. Remember, that is the opposite to diarrhea. When your feces get very hard and it gets hard for you to defecate, then you've got a constipation. You are constipated, and that is another, it could lead into more dangerous pathologies, so it's important that you treat it. Next, they will see this one, the celiac disease, and we'll go through different healthy habits that we can that we can get in order to have a better life. So what is going to be your homework? Well, you're going to do activity number 26 and 27, but in the case of activity number 27, I will launch as well one one questionnaire, okay? You're going to have it this afternoon. You're going to have a questionnaire that is going to give you the answer for this activity number 27. 26 and 27 should be done, and another one that would be 31, vale? 26, 27 and 31, that's your homework. But 27 with the questionnaire. El cuestionario lo voy a dejar abierto unos cuantos días, don't worry. But I want you to go through it because I want everybody to do the activities, que estoy viendo que os estáis rezagando un poquito en esto, ¿vale? Bueno, os paro, os doy